Hey, this is Mark. Wanting to make another video from Triple B Farms, and we've posted a couple videos already that were primarily old turkey hunting footage that we'd captured as we try to figure out how we want to document these things. But this video is really going to be about our 2023 deer season, or a lack thereof, because there wasn't a lot of action going on, or at least a lot of deer taken off the farm. But as the description of the channel is, if you've looked at that, I describe what we're trying to do is just capture memories from our hunts. We often sit around drinking bourbon around the bonfire, and we want to make sure that we capture these so that we've got them and we don't lose some of the important details that come from our hunts. But Triple B, the B's stand for beards, bucks, and bourbon. So at some point we're gonna get some bourbon incorporated into these, because we like to drink our bourbon and we like to try different bourbons. But we got lots of deer hunting and turkey hunting. That's what we like to do. So this video is going to be about, like I said, the 2023 deer season. In that season, we had what we would consider 4 shooter bucks that frequented the farm. At some point I'll make a video about the farm and we'll talk specifically about the size and what it's got and what it doesn't have, and where we started, where we're at now, kind of the things we're doing to try to make it a better habitat for our deer and turkeys. But this one's going to be about specifically one of those 4 shooter bucks, and we named him HB. So I also want to caveat the fact that we are terrible at naming our deer. Lots of cool names when you look on YouTube and you see some of these hunting articles and people come up with these great names. Well, we're not that creative and we are not good at it, and you will see. But we had 4 what I would consider to be shooter bucks this year. I think we were after 2 of them, going back through old trail cam pictures from 2022 and after the 2022 season. 2 of them have been on the farm before, mostly nocturnal. And again, I'll talk about the layout and the bedding and everything that we've got here. But we do get a lot of nocturnal big bucks that come through. So most of our pictures are at night, but we did get some during the day. But again, 2 of the 4 we had seen before. But the 4 bucks that we had, that we called shooters this year, were a deer we called Howie. And Howie first showed up in velvet, and he is a giant 8-pointer, super tall. Of course, in velvet, they all look tall, but this one's really tall. As soon as the trail cam went off, we've got some Tactacam Reveal cell cams out, and as soon as it hit, I called Bobby and I was like, oh my gosh, look at that, right? Showed up in the summer of 2023, and we immediately started figuring out how do we pattern this deer? What do we need to do? And I remember saying, how are we going to kill this deer? How are we going to kill this deer? And then we got that, like, what are we going to name it, right? And Bobby's wife's in the background, Tammy's in the background, and she says, you already named it. You named him Howie. How are we going to kill this deer? That's how we got his name, Howie. So that was our first deer that we got on camera. Second deer on camera, trail cams in the summer, we called HB. So one of our non-cell cams on a mineral block. Howie came through and he had another giant buck with him. Immediately we started calling him Howie's buddy. That's HB. This video is going to be about our interactions with HB over this season. So we got Howie, we got HB. We got another buck that we called Cyclops. Very deformed. Got the picture up. You can see 2022 picture, 2023 picture. Kind of deformed. I don't know. First thing I thought of was a Cyclops. Cyclops is a one eye. I don't know why I call him that, but could have been Cyborg or something better. But Cyclops, he showed up. He was there in 2022 a couple times during the rut. Came through at night. Only got really night pictures of him even this year. But I will tell you, as another story that I'll unfold at some point in the video, Bobby had the opportunity to harvest Cyclops, or at least get a shot at him. I think before he realized what buck it was, as he was primarily focused on hunting HB, it was too late and we didn't get a chance. But got some daytime pictures of him. Bobby had a close encounter with him. But that was Cyclops, so that's our third one. The 4th deer that we consider to be a shooter this year is one we call Turkeyfoot. And I'll show a picture of him. But Turkeyfoot is would be a mainframe 8. It's got a nice right side rack, but then you can see in the picture that I had put on that his left beam goes straight up. So and it looks like a turkey foot, hence the name Turkey Foot. So again, not great at names, but those were the 4 shooters in this video, specifically going to be about the interactions we had with HB, because we had some close calls. Okay, so let's talk about HB. I will tell you, we are not the best at judging age of deer on the hoof. We got some work to do in learning how to do that, as well as scoring. But let me describe HB. He's a mainframe 10. He has some decent brow tines. He has a shorter G4 on the left side. And the one characteristic, other than that short G4, the one characteristic that kind of gives him away and is our identifier when we look at him in pictures and videos is he's got a swayback G2 on his right side. That's how, when we went back into the 2022 pictures, we found a video of him that I'll show you in a little bit. But good deer, good mainframe 10. So again, you guys can take a look at him in the video. Feel free to drop a comment if you think you know what his kind of rough score would be, or even what his age is. But that kind of describes him. Here's a dump of our pictures of what we've got of him. First with pictures of him in velvet, and then we'll move into some daylight pictures. So as most of you know, I didn't get to hunt much in 2023 due to some family circumstances and things that I was committed to for the season, but the hunts continued. We did get a picture of HB. So the season Indiana comes in October 1st. First daylight picture we got of him, Hardhorn, was in the middle of October. I'll put the picture up. He was crossing through in the back 40. If you look closely, kind of to the right side of that trail and behind us is one of our ladder stands. We call it the 4-tree trail. But you can see there's nobody in it. So that was one of our close encounters with HB, but nobody was in the stand. So, but we've had hunters here, and nobody was able to lay eyes on any of the 4 shooters that we had. And then first week of November rolls around, and Tom Benz and John Hall, 2 of our buddies, came into town. They come in every year for deer hunting and turkey hunting. So they came in first week of November as things were starting to pick up. And I wasn't here, but they were here. Tom, actually, on November 3rd, was in one of our stands on the front 40 acres in a stand that we call the sanctuary stand. So the sanctuary stand, when we first got the place, we decided that was going to be the sanctuary and we're just going to stay out of it. It turns out it's not real thick for bedding. Deer aren't bedding in there. So we've decided there's a couple spots that we want to make sure on some heavily used trails with scrapes that we want to have some stands, and we'll hunt it selectively. But November 3rd, 9 o'clock in the morning, Tom decides he's going to hunt the sanctuary stand. Wind was good, and he's hunting with a crossbow. So Tom is an avid compound bow hunter, but that stand is pretty thick. It's the first time we put a stand back there. Didn't spend a lot of time going in and cleaning out shooting lanes, as probably we should have, and undoubtedly we will next year. But Tom wanted to stack every opportunity he had in his favor, so he was taking the crossbow in. So he's in there. It's just after 9 o'clock. And he sees a buck across the draw walking parallel with the ridge that he's sitting on. He grunts him. The buck turns, walks towards Tom, and comes to a scrape at about 25 yards. And I think he was quartered slightly away, stops in that scrape. Tom felt good, got the crossbow up steady, took the shot, and immediately knew he clipped a limb. He heard it, saw it deflect, thought he completely missed him. So the buck runs off, just trots off, stops, kind of looks around, wags his tail a little bit, and kind of walks off. So Tom sends out some texts, completely, as you can imagine, dejected, like what just happened. And so we think nothing of it until 2 hours later, Tom gets down, goes to find his bolt, and finds blood. So At that point, we realized he hit him. Didn't know how well we hit him, or Tom hit him, but we knew we hit him, right? So Tom goes back to the cabin, tries to download video from his Tacticam off the crossbow, realizes it's dead. So didn't get a good video, didn't get any video of the shot. At that point in the early afternoon, John's come out of the stand. John was hunting in the back. John comes out of the stand. They go look at the area, find blood, and they begin to track it. So at this point, they're tracking blood, and they track a pretty decent, according to John and Tom, a pretty good blood trail. And they follow it until it crosses over probably, I call it 300 yards before it hits the property line. And at that point, talking to him on the phone, decide they're going to back out, give him some time, and then try to go back and get the property owner next door. Just recently sold, didn't know the person, but make some contact and see if we can't do some tracking. So they back out, and Bobby gets off of work. Bobby, all this was shaking out. I wasn't there. Bobby wasn't there, but Bobby gets off of work in the afternoon. They go over and track it, make contact with the landowner next door, track it for a while. Again, find blood, but then they lose it, right? So at this point, don't know what to think. But I give Tom a lot of credit in this space because Tom wasn't going to let it go. He wanted to give every opportunity he could to pursue this deer with a decent blood trail. Didn't want to lose it. So Tom gets a hold of his, he's got a tracking guy in Kentucky that he uses, and Tom gets a hold of his tracking buddy in Kentucky and calls him, finds out how much it's going to cost to get the guy to come up from Kentucky. The guy, before he comes up, recommends that Tom reach out to a guy locally in Indiana who does some drone recovery. So we're going to have some pictures and some video of the drone recovery. But the guy comes out. They set up after dark and try to do some drone recovery. We've got a picture that I'll show of the drone flight path of where we thought the deer might try to go, where it gets pretty thick and there's a bottom on that other property. So they come out and do the drone recovery. So I'll show some of the pictures and videos of really cool, first time we've ever used a drone to try to recover a deer. So good experience with that one, but I'm going to play some video and we'll show some pictures of that. Okay, so no luck recovering or finding this deer with the drone the first night. So the next morning, Bobby hunts, John hunts, Tom's, as you can imagine, kind of not feeling it. So he stayed in, called his Kentucky dog tracking buddy, and up they came. So the Kentucky guys showed up with their dogs and trackers and immediately got on the trail and tracked that deer. And they brought another drone guy with them, by the way, and they immediately start tracking. This is on Saturday the 4th. Immediately start tracking across the property onto another neighbor's property. Ironically, it's an avid hunter, and they came up on a lady in the stand who had just shot a doe, and they asked permission to cross her property and helped her recover her doe with the drone. Really cool. So they continue tracking, and they get to a point where they're coming up on some very small parcels, and they decided they're going to launch the drone, see if they can find, by chance, this buck, and they actually find it. So they find it bedded up, still alive. You can tell it was wounded, but not on a property that we want to get to. So the decision made, and I'll show some of the pictures of what they were able to get with this drone. Pretty incredible video, or pictures.
I mean, I don't know, it could be leg.
Right. Well, he said he thought he was bordered and he kind of could have exited low
That's
right
exactly
there
what
for
I thought.
sure.
I wish he would flip over to the other side. Fuck.
Yeah.
We can drop a Hellfire on him real quick.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if it ain't no testing. There's some kind of rules. thing he'd ever shoot.
You found it at least.
I always,
At least you
yeah.
guys know I shot a deer.
Well, he made
That's
that.
about all I can do. Because
So they made the call to decide to not go in and get permission, try to put a stock on this. It's a pretty thick bedding area that he was in. So they decided to hold out, and they decided that they were going to wait and bring the first drone guy back out. We dropped a pin where that one was. The Kentucky folks left, brought the Indiana drone guy back, and decided, hey, listen, we're going to go in with the drone at night, see if he's still bedded there. If he's still bedded there, hopefully he's expired in this space, in the place where he's bedded. And if not, and he's still there, we'll get a hold of the right permissions and put a stock on him the next day. Turns out the drone guy came back with his thermal at night, and that drone and the buck was gone. Ironically, we got a picture of him back on the property that night also, but the buck wasn't there. So the buck is alive. HB is alive. He's walking. We've got many pictures of him and videos of him after that, and I'm going to post some of those in the video also. So bittersweet, good encounter. Kudos to Tom, doing everything he can to try to recover that deer. But the deer is still alive, still walking, initially walking a little gingerly, not quite sure where Tom hit him, but clearly up and about. And we've got videos all the way up through the end of deer season. And the good news is that buck's still hanging out and made it through the season. So fingers crossed he makes it through deer season. We run feeders here in the off season, and we got some mineral blocks up, so we'll try to catch him on camera too. But at this point, hopefully he gets through the season and we get a chance to chase him again next year. So that's the story of HB. More to come on some of the other bucks that we had, as we call shooter bucks and encounters with them. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks.